Ladies and gentlemen, Nelson Thibodeau for localnewsonly.com. We're in Colleyville City Hall today. We're interviewing Jerry Ducay, who is the new city manager of Colleyville. And Jerry, I understand that you and your wife lived in the city of Frankfort, or the village of Frankfort, Illinois, for longer than 18 years. And that prior to that, you were a village administrator of two other small towns, Crete in Dalton?
Yes, Dalton. I was very fortunate. I entered municipal government in 1990, so I've been doing this frame of work for quite some time. My most notable and most recent employment was with the village of Frankfort. That was for 18 years, starting in 1999. And before that, I did work for the village of Crete and the village of Dalton.
Well, I understand that you have some college kids.
I do, and my oldest just graduated from Eastern Illinois University, and my two youngest are attending Southern Illinois University as we speak. I think they were worried that somehow we might not give them a forwarding address.
Jerry, I see you hold a Doctor of Education, an MBA, a BS in Economics. How did you find time to be a city administrator with all of that, and what did you use all of those for?
Well, my wife says the most notable trait is the BS in economics. That was when the 1980s, when I attended college right out of high school. I went back to the university in the mid-90s for my master's degree in business administration. The other thing is I believe we're all lifelong learners, so anything that I can do that helps me learn something new and expand my horizons is something that I love to pursue. When
you were trying to decide where you might go, I mean, you considered Florida. That's, of course, when mosquitoes are the size of eagles. You considered Phoenix. That's where it's so hot planes can't fly. And considered Texas, where, of course, we're very friendly down here and all our women are good looking. So was that sort of what was the underlying reason?
Yes. Well, first thing I did was look at my wife and realize that we qualified with the latter. And we were able to visit this wonderful state on multiple occasions and just fell in love with it. And so for us, this has been kind of a lifelong dream to relocate south. And Texas presented a great opportunity. Fantastic state with wonderful people. And we're excited to be here.
How about comparing Frankfort to Colleyville?
Very similar. Both are upscale, affluent communities that have a very keen interest in providing customer service. Both communities are about 22,000 people, and both communities have a history of a rural character that they want to maintain, and a higher quality of life that the residents have come to expect. And so I can relate very much to the residents of Colleyville, and I enjoy serving as their city manager.
Do you see any differences between the two cities?
I don't. A lot of the communities have the same situations and the same concerns and the same challenges. Frankfort, much like Colleyville, was financially strong, but that didn't mean that they weren't conservative in their fiscal management. And thus, the decisions on how to spend funding is a very competitive environment. There's a lot of good things you want to do, and you want to make sure that you're fiscal stewards of the financials, and thus you're not able to do everything you want to do. So that decision-making process can be complicated, can be difficult and challenging, and in an affluent community it's even more so, because the assumption is you should be able to do whatever you want to do. And so they're very similar in that sense.
What's your attitude on the development of business in a city like Colleyville?
Yeah, I grew up in a family where we had some small businesses in the downtown area, so I'm very sensitive to the local business owner. They are the heart and soul of a community. They invest in the community because they have a passion for the community and love the community. Corporate citizens also have a role and are very involved, but they tend to make a business decision. We want to make sure that we are honoring and respecting and working with both of those corporate investors because both of them have a role to play and can tell us a lot about what our community should be doing and can be doing to help facilitate their businesses.
Any updates on 26?
Yes, it's going to be about 2.5 years before it's complete. So it is a challenge. As you can see, there's major reconstruction going on there. We also have construction on a couple other roads which will be shorter term. And we appreciate the patience of residents. We want you to utilize our webpage where there is a service where you can actually join a text alert, instant texts that'll tell you about traffic concerns and about specialty road closures. And we ask residents to participate in that. Our goal is to keep them informed and provide the expedited process for the repairs, but we know they're going to be a long-term issue.
Jerry, you've described yourself as a fiscal conservative. Can you give me some parameters of what that means?
When you operate a community, you have to recognize that there is a greater good that has to be served. And when you look at the financials, there are many competing forces to argue for the same dollars. In addition, you must also be cognizant of the fact that the taxpayers are burdened with the obligation to provide that funding. So what I like to do is I like to see our revenues underreported so that we are not anticipating the actual amount we're going to receive in revenues. We have cushion so that we don't have to worry about unforeseen circumstances causing us difficulty. I like to see expenditures operated on a monthly basis well below projection so that we don't meet our budget expectations. And I also believe in financial stewardship that includes savings. In other words, you should be saving funding for capital improvements so that when the time comes to do those improvements, you don't have to bond.
Jerry, when there was a reception last Tuesday night at City Council, Mayor Newton brought up a subject matter about your feelings, what your proudest accomplishments are. What was that comment?
Yes, I believe, in the old adage, a rising tide lifts all boats. So I believe that mentoring individuals and trying to encourage all of the team members to advance both in this organization and in their own profession and their own personal abilities is a priority. So I like to challenge other people, I like to push them, but I like to see that they succeed, and mentoring them is one way to do that. But the other thing I think is extremely important is that municipal employees must be customer service oriented. We must return calls the day they're received. So if residents have a call into one of our departments and you don't receive a call back that day, please call me, email me. I will make sure that you get that call back, and the answer may be something you don't want to hear, or the answer may be we don't know and we have to do some research to find it out. But you deserve that call back, and you deserve it in a reasonable period of time.
Okay, you've already been here for 10 days, so obviously you have enough time to figure out what some of the main problems are. What have you seen so far?
Well, I think that Colleyville is a community like many others. We see a lot of new, exciting things we'd like to do, and we're working on some of those things with our comprehensive plan related to development and land uses, also related to some of our park district and recreation issues and trails and park sites and maybe even, things like event centers. And then we also have our challenges related to some of the more operational needs, providing residents the absolute best level of service you can at the best price. On one hand, we want to be more accountable and provide the quality services, but we also have to make sure that we do so in a way that sustains the long-term progress and ability to provide those services in the future.
All right, Mr. City Manager, I am sure that there is a question that I should have asked you, but I did not. So now I'm going to give you that opportunity to share that with the public.
I guess the biggest question is, what would be your impression of Colleyville in the short time you've been here? And mine would be that you have a beautiful hamlet of a community that really has captured the essence of a small hometown environment that creates an environment where people feel like they're part of something quaint and something unique, and it brings them back to a time in their life that was special. While at the same time you have all of the wonderful amenities that anyone would want to either shop or to entertain. So you kind of have the best of both worlds here, and you're a few minutes from Dallas-Fort Worth Airport. So all of that in a package is why I think this community is special, and I hope to continue to be part of that for many years to come.
Ladies and gentlemen, our city manager, Jerry Ducay. That wasn't exactly a grilling interview, but we do now know our new city manager. Jerry, thank you, my friend.